Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are doing a full-length, non-spoilery review of The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets by Simon Singh. So this is an adult nonfiction book, and as such, it's a little hard to have spoilers anyway, but also my general, review structure doesn't really work for it. So instead, we're going to do 3 pros and 3 cons, alternating between the two. And this book is exactly like what it sounds like. It is about the TV show The Simpsons and all the mathematical references that are in that TV show. And the first pro that I want to talk about is that is a very interesting topic. I saw this book and I read the description and I was so intrigued that obviously I wanted to read it. And even after having read it, I'm like, this is still just a really interesting topic. To have this cartoon, not only to have a cartoon with a lot of mathematical references, but specifically The Simpsons having a lot of mathematical references is just so interesting. And it makes me want to dive back into watching The Simpsons and see if I can pick up even more examples of math being referenced. The first con that I want to talk about is that I do think that this book didn't really meet my expectations, and my expectations obviously were based on the description. I thought it was going to be a lot of examples of mathematical references in The Simpsons, that we were going to talk about the episode or the specific scene that the reference occurs in, any kind of context that we need to understand the mathematical reference. We would talk about the mathematical reference and what it is and what it's used for and why it's important and maybe where it came from and all of that. And then we would move on to the next example. And that's not really what we got. We got far fewer examples than I was kind of expecting, especially given that there was 25 years worth of episodes to work with at the time of publishing. As well as just there was a lot of time spent on math history, which a lot of it I knew, so I didn't really find that interesting. Although if you don't know the math history, your mileage may vary. But also we spent a lot of time talking about the writers in the mathematically minded writers in the writing room, and their personal history, as well as how some of these references made their way into the episode. And sometimes that was interesting, and a lot of times I didn't really care. And so I found the balance of all of these different components to be, it didn't meet my expectations, but it also just didn't really work for me. There was a lot of information that I found that I just didn't really care about. So the second positive that I want to talk about is actually, I think that the author did a really good job of finding a number of examples that could be easily grouped together and have logical transitions between them, which is something that is very, very difficult to do. Because again, you have 25 years worth of episodes to kind of sift through, and you have to make sense of a large amount of data and pull it all together in a way that makes sense so your reader can follow along too. And I think that Simon Singh did a very good job with this. I have read a number of books that are similar, where you have a lot of data like this to work with, and they don't always do it well, and it makes it very difficult for the reader to follow along. So I really did appreciate that. I thought it was a very easy read. On the con side of things, I was not expecting there to be chapters at the end that were about Futurama. So for those of you that don't know, Futurama is also an animated TV show, and it is from the same creators as The Simpsons. But Futurama was never really my jam. It was not in the same way that The Simpsons was. There is still a lot of math in Futurama. It's from the same creators. I understand why these chapters were in this book, but it just didn't work for me. I didn't care, and especially considering where I was at that point in the book, where I was just a little sad that we didn't have more examples of mathematical references, and then we were now giving over a portion of the book to this other show that I don't care about. I was just like, okay, I guess. And I just didn't really appreciate it. And the last positive that I want to talk about is that I think that Simon Singh does an admirable job of taking these complex mathematical concepts and explaining them in a way that I think most average readers would understand. And that's an incredibly difficult thing to do. If you're a mathematician, usually you tend to be more precise, more accurate, because mathematics rewards you for being precise and accurate. It has to be precise and accurate in mathematics. And so you have all these people who like accuracy, who like precision, and trying to explain some of these concepts to non-math people, you have to lose some of that accuracy, some of that precision. And it is so difficult to do and to figure out what, like, to go against your own inclinations so that somebody else can understand the explanation. And so the fact that Simon Singh is able to do this very well, actually, I was very, very impressed. And the last con that I want to talk about actually relates to that, because it feels like this book doesn't really know who its audience is. Because the thing is, more people who are mathematically minded are likely to pick up this book, because, like, especially if it's like me, where I grew up on The Simpsons, I didn't notice the math, and I am a mathematically minded person. I'm like, oh, I should read this book. But like, the math in it is so basic, and like, we just didn't dig into the math, which is fine, but it means that I didn't really have as an enjoyable experience with this book as I maybe would have if we had dug in more on the math. However, if you're an average person, you would probably understand the vast majority of this book. But what I've kind of noticed is that if you don't like math, or if you're ambivalent to math, like, you're not likely to pick up a book where the math is a major component of it. And so even though a lot of people could understand this book, I don't know how many of them would actually do so. And so I don't know, it felt very strange to me to have this kind of pop math book when that's not generally something that I think a lot of people are interested in. And so personally, I would have enjoyed it if it had gone like hard math, but that's just me. But that is it, you guys. Those are 3 things that I think were done well, and 3 things that I think were done maybe not so well. Leave me comments down below if you are interested in this book, if you would ever read it. Are you a math person or not? Like, let me know. But that is all I have. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.